Hi everyone. The objective of this premiere today is to bring you the Wednesday live stream presentation regarding a shift that happens in traders. On weekends, you are a rational, disciplined Forex analyst. You backtest perfectly and you follow your process perfectly. Frankly, you look like a professional. But the second the market opens, something shifts. All of a sudden, you over leverage or revenge trade and you turn into some gambling degenerate. That doesn't mean you are incompetent. It means you are trading from a different identity the moment that the market opens and your emotional state takes over your decision making. Today, I'm going to give you tools you can apply from your very next trading session. As you implement it more often, it will become easier and more effective. I will also discuss the gambler shadow identity in more detail and explain why your brain forces you to sabotage your account. When the stress of the live market hits, your conscious mind shuts down and a shadow identity takes over that mouse. Firstly, regarding the high stakes gambler, if you are trading just for entertainment, then fine. Carry on with what you are doing. But if your intention is to learn a skill in order to work towards a goal, such as not working for a boss anymore, or to be debt free, or to provide for your family, then trading from this identity is going to prevent you from reaching your goal, obviously. Ultimately, the gambling identity is exactly the same as a neurochemical addict, which is addicted to the drama of losing and winning. It's a dopamine addict. This shadow doesn't care about money. It cares about the rush. Winning feels good, and losing provides the traumatic narrative that this identity is addicted to. In this shadow identity, a trader's brain is locked in a self-perpetuating loop and operates primarily out of the reward center and the survival networks in the brain. Don't get irritated now with this next part. We are going to look at these areas in the brain because when you can understand what you are shifting, then the shift itself is sustainable. We can say this loop starts with the anticipation you have in your ventral tegmental area. This is your reward prediction center. It activates in an untrained brain when you see a breakout candle or a market open, or it is even triggered by a flashing P&L. Even seeing price near your entry zone will trigger this. The problem with this bloody area is that it does not wait for the reward. It fires at the possibility of reward. That's why anticipation feels addictive. During this activation, it produces and pushes all of this dopamine to the nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens is the epicenter of that rush. When the dopamine arrives here, the nucleus accumbens says, that mattered. Do that again. I want more. That's habit formation. That's addiction. This is why traders keep clicking. It's not about making money anymore. It's about chasing dopamine-driven anticipation, which is much stronger. So your VTA shouts, possible reward. Dopamine is released. Your nucleus accumbens then shouts in return, more, give me more. So your heart rate rises, your attention narrows, your impulse increases. And what happens? Click on that mouse. That can happen in under 500 milliseconds before your cortex even gets involved. That's why discipline feels so hard. You're late to your own brain party. Forex is a variable reward schedule. The up and down reward system of the market creates uncertainty and causes massive spikes in dopamine. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Unexpected win, huge dopamine surge. Unexpected loss, brain says, let's try again. That unpredictability makes the VTA fire even more, not less. That's brutal for traders. Today, we are not going to look at the other areas tripping you up. Those I'll explain another time. All right, so what should actually activate instead? What activates the elite trader's brain? How do we get there? These are the questions that I've been asking for a long time, and more traders should ask as well. You don't stop dopamine. It's impossible. You redirect what triggers it. Bad dopamine, that comes from your P&L. Good dopamine, that comes from process completion. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, I'm on a mission to get more traders to actually do it. Training the brain comes down to, did I follow my rules? And then celebrating that. Instead of, did I make money? Or I didn't make money. Or they making money and I didn't make money. Elite trading is a network behavior. They trade from a well-orchestrated prefrontal network. So this is the hierarchy. First and most important, your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the seat of working memory, rule adherence, and cold calculation, impulse suppression, strategic thinking, delayed gratification, something that this generation and society in general have a huge problem with. It treats a trade like an accountant treats a spreadsheet entry. With an activated dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, you are procedural, not reactive. This must be your dominant region. The next area elite traders use is the interior cingulate cortex, your risk manager. It detects internal conflict, mistakes, emotional drift, and rule violations. It will tell you something feels off because its job is to catch revenge trading, FOMO, and overconfidence. Traders with an untrained brain ignores this. Professionals obey it. Let's recap quickly. The ACC manages error detection and switches the brain out of narrative mode and into task mode. It evaluates data objectivity without assigning personal shame or drama to a loss. The next area that's extremely important is your orbitofrontal cortex. This is your valuator. It will ask you, is this trade really worth it? Its job is to evaluate risk to reward, probability, trade quality, and patience versus action. This is what stops that, just take it behavior. With a weak OFS, you will take too many trades. But with a strong and trained one, you will value selectivity over your budget list. Now that's edge. The next area, this is a tough one, but I'm going to explain to you how we can, through practice and repetition, get to this point. So this area is called the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This region must activate to regulate emotional responses. Not suppress them, but regulate emotional responses. Acting as a brake system over the hyperactive nucleus accumbens, assessing long-term consequences over immediate dopamine gratification. This one is misunderstood for this reason. Okay, it doesn't make you think anything. It helps you to feel this setup feels wrong. That can be useful if you're experienced. The danger is that new traders confuse the ventromedial prefrontal cortex intuition with fear, and that's bad. Experienced traders can use this area of the brain because their intuition is trained. Beginners cannot trust it yet. So to trade professionally, the brain must shift from an addictive/reactive state to a probabilistic/operational state. Now, here's the good stuff. how to make the shift. You cannot will a dopamine addict to stop wanting dopamine while you retain the gambler identity. The shift requires moving from a state-dependent identity, chasing a feeling, to a process-dependent identity, managing your edge. Step 1, starve the narrative. You must strip all drama from your vocabulary. You are no longer allowed to use words like, I smashed it, destroyed, I was robbed, or this is just my bad luck. No more such narrative, internally or voicing it. Now, the neurobiological side of this is by forcing yourself to log metrics using purely sterile, dry data points. For example, my RNR multiple variance is this. Then you quiet the PCC, preventing the brain from spinning this dramatic story it craves. Step 2, redefine the reward. Now this comes down to striatal rewiring, also a part of the brain. The action you take is to alter what triggers the dopamine release. You must reward yourselves only for flawless rule execution, completely independent of the financial outcome. If this is too much of a jump, then first start with this outside of your trading. Deliberately find joy in simple things in your life and significantly cut down on things that feed cheap dopamine cravings. You know what I mean when I say that? I don't have to unpack that. We all know what cheap dopamine cravings are. So the neurobiology of this is that if you execute a losing trade perfectly according to your plan, you must deliberately flag it as a win in your psychological log and frame it with gratitude. This slowly trains the ventral striatum to release dopamine from discipline rather than chaos. Step 3, implement cognitive pre-commitment. The action you take here is to use hard external constraints. This so that you can bypass the gambler's identity, which is what is at the steering wheel within you, access to the screen. Step away for 10 minutes. That's one way. Be accountable to somebody else for your trades. That's another way. Put on a timer when you must stop, if you are strong enough to keep to that. All of this helps the dopamine and cortisol to go back to baseline after the emotional paper cut you got during that previous trade. And boy, does it feel like a paper cut. Now, the neurobiology of this one is when the gambler shadow takes over, then the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex goes offline completely. But when you have a pre-commitment mechanism in place, then they act as a placeholder for the prefrontal cortex, protecting you from your own irrational decisions. But over time, all of this gets easier as you get better at using the correct areas of your brain during your trading. Again, if you need me to simplify these steps for you even more, let me know in the comments or message me on my contact page. See you in the next video.